What's going on, guys? It's Jack Gillis1875 here, and we're with Klaus, very special guest on the channel today. Klaus from Aktion Herthakneipe, who are a fantastic group who have been raising money to help the Hertha pubs throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, to make sure they don't close down, because they're a great thing for the fans, especially in Berlin. And we're just going to have a chat about Hertha and what Aktion Herthakneipe is all about. So first of all, I'd like to say a massive thank you for joining me today and taking your time out.
Hi Jack, nice to meet you, and I'm really happy to be here and to tell you something about Herthakneipe, and maybe we can talk a little bit about Hertha and how the season works in the moment. Of course, yeah, we've got some difficulties, but
yeah,
you know, the reason why we're here at start is Herthakneipe, and I think it's a really great thing to meet and to talk about it.
Absolutely. So my first question is, what started Herthakneipe? What was the sort of motivation to start the group?
So the thing is, in the first lockdown, you know, we've got some friends, you know, he was owner of a pub.
Yep.
And the problem is, you know, when you don't have any guests, you don't earn any money. So, and these places are really special for us. I mean, every football fan, you know, in Europe knows these places, you know. These are pubs, you know, where you can go there alone. You can have a look at the game, and you can talk to the people about the game, maybe, but you can go everywhere.
Yeah,
you know, to these kind of pubs, you know, because these pubs are really more, you know, not these hipster stuff, you know, it's more like these pubs in the neighborhood, you know, when you met people, you know, they're really from 20 till 60 or older, and it's more like the neighborhood you met there. And these kind of places are really, yeah, these special Berlin places, you know, and I think in every city in Europe, these places are really under hard pressure, you know. In Berlin, you know, the landlords and the rents are really so high.
Yeah.
So these whole concept, you know, cheap beer and not so much people, but much people from the neighborhood. But yeah, it's really under pressure. And for us, it's really hard when like this are going down to a pandemic. And so the thing is, what we said is, okay, we collect money. And the first thing, you know, in the first step, we think about, okay, how much pubs can we help, you know, because the thing is, you've got so much pubs in a big town, in a big city, you can't help everyone. So we said, okay, there are special pubs, you know, who really have a Hertha identity.
Yeah.
So, and then we just have a look at the pubs and said, okay, these 10 pubs we can help, you know, and these pubs are really different. They're all around the town, you know, from Spandau to Tempelhof. So it's not only one special kind of pub, it's 10 pubs.
Yeah.
And then we try to collect, and yeah, we started with social media and a small website. And our idea was to say, okay, when the Bundesliga start is coming again, we said, okay, let's have a Zoom meeting online and expect. The difference is, you know, when you pay in a beer in a pub, now you pay a beer in our money pool, in the PayPal money pool. So yeah, that's the idea, and on a way it grows. So the thing is, we started small, but it grows very much because much people, you know, understand our the thing what we have with the pubs, you know, because much people go to these pubs. Not everyone got Sky at home, or these cable TV for football. You know, sometimes, you know, in my case, it's the opinion: should I pay the pay TV, or should I pay a beer in the pub? So, and I always said no. I go to a pub. I talk to people. So that's the thing, and yeah, that's when we started, and yeah. Now we're here, so we've got the second lockdown here in Germany. The pubs are closed, and yeah.
Yeah, it's not. We'll need to go and tell Angela to get the pubs open.
Yeah, in the moment we're banned from the pubs, but you know, I hope so at maybe January or February. I don't know where.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got the same here in Scotland, where only certain places only, our pubs are allowed to open because we've got different lockdowns in different parts of the country. So where I live in Livingston, which is near Edinburgh, nothing's allowed to open. But in Edinburgh, pubs are allowed to open, but they're not allowed to serve alcohol. So it's stupid, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose we're lucky here in Scotland that we've not had one complete lockdown, that in certain areas are different things. But yeah, the other question I'd like to ask you is, how important are pubs to the Hertha fan community? I know that a few of the boys I know always go to their local to have a drink before the game, and it must be really important to the fans to have these pubs to go to meet their friends and before they go to the game or even watch the game from the pub.
That's it. The biggest reason, it's not only the on game day. On game day, normally when we playing at home, after the game, normally we go to one or two pubs. We know not only in the near of the Olympic Stadium, but the thing is, it's always nice to go with friends after a game to a pub. And before the game, sometimes we met at a special pub in Charlottenburg, so directly from the S-Bahn station to the Olympic Stadium. And and when we don't have game day, these pubs are really the same importance for us, because you can meet there with the Hertha people. You can meet there people in your neighborhood, and you can talk about football. That's a reason why these small pubs are really expensive. Really, yeah, they've got a really, really special atmosphere. That's the thing. And it's not only the game day; it's the whole week. Sometimes, when you're coming from work and said, okay, I want to have one or two drinks at the bar. Yeah, that's a reason why you need a special pub. Where you can meet people from your neighborhood, and that's the reason why these Hertha pubs are really, a special thing for us. It's the thing, when before the lockdown, I work in Köln, so I can go after the work to Rosels at Weserstraße. This is a small Hertha pub, and I know the people who are working there, and you can go there and sit there, and you can go there and read there a book, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's
just a big hub for the community. But obviously that must be, but obviously on away days as well, it's good to have the pub, because not everybody can make it down to Munich or get across to Gelsenkirchen or Dortmund, because it's quite a distance. So having the pubs on away days is good, because people can come, they can watch the game. Like you said, you don't have to pay. Not everybody can afford Sky or can afford to travel to away games. So it's good to go and watch the game. So I'm assuming your pubs get a lot of customers when it's an away game. When before the lockdown, a lot of people would come in and watch the away games in the pub.
Yeah, and the pubs lives from the game days. Really, that's a reason why they need the normal playing stuff. Without the league, they're dead on a way. People like Klaus from Kugelblitz. When he said he's got his pub in Wedding, and there's a bunch of people from Dortmund who's living in the neighborhood. And Wednesday, when Dortmund is playing Champions League, he's got a full house there. So that's it. And for the other reason is, you can go there after the game or before the game. You always met people That's the other thing.
I've experienced it before, not necessarily with Hertha, but in Germany. I've been to places like Leipzig, where obviously being in the East, a lot of people support Dynamo Dresden because they were the biggest club in the East. So there's a lot of Dresden pubs in Leipzig, and they go and watch the Dresden games. Or in Magdeburg as well, there's a lot of people that watch Bayern or Dortmund in Magdeburg, so they've got their pubs there. So it's good because people can come in. It's not just for fans of one club, fans from other clubs, because of course Berlin's such a diverse city that fans from other clubs can come and watch their games in the pubs as well.
That's it. It's a special kind of diversity you've got in every city, and on a way, I like this. Sometimes you can talk a little bit, you can have a little bit trash talk and laugh, You know, that's a thing. You know, that's what I really love on these pubs. You know, it's always it's not aggressive. It's always funny. It's always familiar. You know, because it's from football fan to football fan on a way. And on the other side, yeah, really these clubs, these pubs, you know, they have really a special kind of Hertha heart. You know, when you go there, I don't have to ask if can I see the game there because I know it. You know, and when I go there, I know all 80% of the people, you know, I met at Kugelblitz, they're interested in Hertha. And that's interesting because, you know, I met people, you know, from students from Spain with a Hertha shawl, you know, and said, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's it. And that's the reason why we need these pubs, and it's a kind of social infrastructure for us.
Absolutely, I could imagine, because, you know, I'm a Hibs fan first and foremost at Hibernian in Edinburgh, and we have our pubs up and down Easter Road near the stadium. You know, you got the Four in Hand, Tamps and stuff like that, and people go there before the game. But in Scotland, it's not as friendly. I'd say if a Rangers or Celtic fan walks into a Hibs pub, they usually be leaving through the window. But it's different in Scotland with the fan culture over here. But it's brilliant. You know, when I'm been in Berlin to come and see a game, you always get that nice atmosphere. You know, Hertha are a fantastic club, and I'm really proud that they're my second team. And, you know, I've never been into any of the pubs because obviously, you know, I go straight to the game because I've got constrictions of flights and everything. But it's fantastic to see such a hub for the fan community to come together. So it must be a shame. But between lockdowns in Germany, did fans get into the pubs for a little while before the second lockdown happened?
Yeah, that's it. The second lockdown was kind of freedom, you know, to go there, and it's really like so. You can have a big breeze, you know, with all the cigarette and the smoke. But it's really for us, yeah. It was really a kind of freedom to go there again, and met people, you know, in a normal setup. You know, that's the thing. I mean, I know what you mean with the fan culture in Scotland, but the interesting thing is so much people from Germany are interested in Scotland about the history of football. So that's one the thing I want to do in my life, you know, to do a Scotland tour and to go to the smaller clubs and to have to look at the game days, because the history of these clubs are really incredible.
You need to come to Easter Road. We'll get you in at Easter Road, don't you worry. When you come down, we'll get you into a Hibs game, because we've been also Hearts, our city rivals, are friendly with Schalke as well. So a bit of a double rivalry going on there. So that's our city rivals. Hearts have a fan friendship with the Schalke fans. So yeah, don't like them.
This is funny.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. I mean, because I was watching the TV and I saw a big banner, and in that part of the Veltins arena, and I saw the Hearts badge, and I was like, oh
my God.
I mean, obviously, I hate Schalke enough as it is without them.
But in the moment, you know. So I'm glad and what kind of state they are. You know, it's really a kind of chaos there. So the thing with Hertha and Schalke is really a special thing about the history. You know, in the 70s, and yeah, but I don't understand what people are finding there on these kind of club. But this is a different story.
Well, we could say the same about Hearts as well. They're toiling right now. They're not doing. They're in the Championship. They're the league below us. So, you know, Edinburgh's green and white. That's what I always say. But that's a story for a different time. But it's all about Hertha today. The next thing I wanted to ask you is, what are the pubs like on Derby Day? Obviously, we only had one Berlin derby where fans were allowed. That must have been a good, you know, atmosphere in the pubs on Derby Day when you played that. We won't name them, but when we played that other team in Berlin at the Alte Försterei, it must have been a good atmosphere in the pubs before the score. It wasn't a nice score, but it must have been a good atmosphere in the pubs on Derby Day before the game.
Yeah, the atmosphere in the pubs before the game is, you know, the last game was in the lockdown, so it was really for us heartbreaking.
Yeah,
You
well,
know, but and then the first game I was there at Köpenick. Yeah, and the pubs then it's special, you know, because it's really like, you know, the in the Bundesliga in the yeah, and the thing is, you know, you always have in that moment people who are not so big in football, but they always have a special kind of relationship to one club. Yeah, and this is a really interesting thing in the moment because you in the moment then the whole town is really burning for this game, and in the yeah in the pubs then it's great. You know sometimes, no, I would look at in a special Hertha pub at the next time, but if when we can.
yeah,
But I know it's different in when you go to in direction Köpenick. You know, there it's the same thing on a way. They've got always these, but you know, you see it in the whole city the week before. You know, you see it all those stickers and yeah, that's it.
yeah, because obviously there was a bit of trouble at the last derby that fans were allowed. Obviously, the Union fans tried to run onto the pitch, and there was the pyrotechnics on the other end. I think a few boys from BFC and Magdeburg came along and started causing trouble on our end as well. And that's the next question. Conveniently, I wanted to ask you is do any? I know a lot of these. Some of your pubs are in the old East. Do some BFC fans ever come in, or do they tend to stay away? What's the sort of situation with them?
Phew, I don't know whether the people from BFC are going there. The interesting thing is that our fan project is with the BFC, because the reason is it's a fan project is at Jagdsport Park in the middle of Berlin.
Yeah.
So and we've got the same fan project with them, and in the fan project it's always a nice together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's yeah the fan project, you know, it's really different because there are people who are the people are going there sometimes um, they have problems, and then they can go to a social worker and said, oh, I've got this problem, and this is a kind of yeah peace place
Yeah.
for that. And
Uh,
yeah, I don't know exactly what, but I'm sure in Mitte there are some pubs
yeah, I'd
and
imagine.
direction Hohenschönhausen.
Yeah, of course. I've seen BFC play twice. I've seen them play Bischofswerda, where they got beat 4-1 by Bischofswerda, which was a bit of a bad score. And I went to see them in a friendly against Magdeburg at the Sport Forum. And around there, I did see quite a few things. But BFC they're an interesting team. They've got good fans. They're good to have a laugh with. But they like Aberdeen. And as they're obviously they like Aberdeen as a Scottish team, and I don't really. Hibs and Aberdeen don't have a good relationship with each other, so I had to keep quiet that I was a Hibs fan. You know, they kept asking me if I was from Aberdeen, and I just was like, I'll keep quiet about that. No, they've got a good. And the next thing I wanted to ask you is, do you ever get fans in, or do you ever speak to fans from other Berlin clubs apart? You know, I know quite a few Hertha fans. I know also like Victoria because that's a local team in the Bezirk. And
I living in the neighborhood from Victoria.
yeah,
And yeah, there the when you go to Victoria, it's really interesting because you see so much people are normally going to Hertha.
yeah,
And
I noticed that. I see a lot of scarves and everything. Yeah, but they're Victoria, an interesting team, of course. Before the Regionalliga got shut down, they were doing really well. I think that was 11 out of 11 wins for them. But I suppose they're sort of like Hertha Junior because they play in blue and white, and they're another sort of.
they're really an old Berlin club. And the interesting thing, one of our Hertha pubs is an old Victoria pub.
Oh,
Yeah, the Verein 667, because Verein 667 is old. The Ebert Stadium there at Tempelhof. And for 1667, in the past, it was a really old Victoria pub. And then Victoria moved to Lichterfelde, to the big stadium there, here in the south. And yeah, now they've got a really own big sports bar at Stadium Lichterfelde. But you know, this is really interesting, and there are so much people who are interested when you go to Verein 1667. There are so much people who are interested in Victoria, because you know it's the old club from Tempelhof there, you know. But the interesting thing is, the two clubs don't have anything, you know. It's no communication between them. I know what you mean, because they're really old traditional clubs here in Berlin.
Yeah. It's sort of strange that, you know, it's obviously, I think, a case of local. I think it's a case of it's a local club, and because they're in a lower league as well now, and the fact that, you know, they haven't always been as successful. We have the same in Edinburgh, that a lot of people support Edinburgh City as well, who are they're in Scottish League 2, which is sort of it's like the regular Liga, but it isn't. It's the fourth division, but it's there in Scottish League 2. And a lot of Hibs and Hearts fans go to Edinburgh City, because it's just another Edinburgh team to support on the weekend, and they always play it. They're amateur. They don't. Well, I think they might be they're either semi-professional or amateur. I'm not quite sure, but they're a low league club. But it's really interesting. I know there's another few in Berlin, like Hertha Zehlendorf as well. There's another one, and the team that have the unfortunate title being the worst ever Bundesliga, there's Tasmania. I know a few of my friends that are Hertha fans that go and watch Tasmania now as well.
Yeah, sometimes, because you know the thing is, I like to go to lower leagues.
Oh,
it's for me always, you know, when you have a nice Sunday and can meet there with friends, you know. And there are some places in Berlin they're really nice. You know, Tasmania is one of these places. You know, you can go there. They have a really nice small ground. You know, it's a football ground, and yeah, it's always really nice there in a nice Sunday. You know, you can meet there, can drink beer. Yeah, and the interesting thing is when you see these small clubs in Berlin, you see always, you know, the special kind of relationship between the neighborhood. You know, at Tasmania, you know, they've got a bunch of, I think, 5 to 10 fans, you know, who's behaving a little bit like an ultra unity, and this is really funny, you know. There are some clubs in that way, you know. An interesting club is always Reinickendorfer Füchse in the north. Yeah, because they're playing a really interesting ground. So when one of from guys from you are coming to Berlin, and the ground from Reinickendorfer Füchse is an old ground from a old Berlin club who's never existed. It was Wacker 04. And in the 70s, Wacker was a founder from the second league, from the second Profi league here in Germany. And this ground is really like, you know, frozen till 1979, you know, because 1979 they built this ground to a second league ground. And you know, when you go there, it's really in a garden neighborhood. Really, there's these small gardens, and you go there through the small gardens, and then you come to this ground, and it's really like a frozen history of Berlin football from the 70s. It's really interesting, from end of the 70s, 80s.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And you see when you go there to these small clubs, you know, you see they're grounded in the neighborhood, and all the people, you know, who's living there go to these clubs. This is really interesting to see.
I've spoke to a few lower league clubs on here before my channel before. I've spoke to Blau-Weiß Friedrichshain, who are fantastic, and Berliner Strahlau as well. But I think the most interesting I spoke to were Turkemspor. They were really interesting to talk to Turkemspor. And I suppose there's a lot of areas of Berlin there's a lot of Turkish people that are also Hertha areas. So obviously you'll get a lot of Turkish guys maybe that will support Hertha and watch their Turkish team as well. Obviously, for religious reasons, sometimes they can't drink, but, you know, they can still come in. And do you ever get anybody, obviously Berlin being so diverse, do you ever get anybody from the Turkish community coming into your places and joining in?
Yeah, some it's sometimes you're really interested. You're going to Hertha too. You're a Hertha fan too. I've got one Turkish neighbor from my old neighborhood in Kreuzberg. He was born here in Berlin. He was really a really Berliner.
Yeah,
So and the thing is, his first club was Hertha, and the second club was Galatasaray.
of course.
And that's sometimes you're really surprised that yeah, you go to Hertha too, and yeah, but why not? They're fucking Berliner. That's the thing. And clubs like Turkimspor, that's a reason why to go there in the 80s, it was really nice. I've grown up in the neighborhood there in Kreuzberg, and are really these places. They're doing so much for younger people. They've got a really interesting women's team. Their women's team is playing in the third league.
Yep.
So yeah, and these plays where they're playing at Kreuzberg. These on the its direction from Park Kreuzberg. Kreuzbergstraße. This is a really nice old place to play in football in Berlin.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, because that's a team that when I can come over, I want to visit, because the guy that I spoke to, Harold, the press guy, was fantastic. And now that we've talked a bit about football in Berlin and the community in Berlin, I think it's time for the important stuff. We're going to talk about Hertha now. I'll have a few questions about Hertha. First of all, who's your favourite player out of the current squad? Mine, personally, I love Cunha. He's fantastic. And he reminds me a lot of Marcelinho as well. So who's your favourite player in the team currently?
Yeah, Cunha is one of my favourite players. The other favourite player is Gudenzi in the moment.
Yeah,
and I hope that he can play with Toussaint in the midfield, in the central midfield. And my biggest hope is that we've got so much young people, these people like Mittelstädt. He's coming from our own youth, to Riga on the left side. This would be a really nice midfield left side, interesting combination for me. And yeah, that's these four players in the moment. And yeah, that's my four favorite players. The biggest shot in the moment is Gudenzi, because he's really intelligent player, and yeah, you always see when he's on the ground, he's a really intelligent player. So that's what I like. And yeah, and that's the reason why Cunha is the guy who's doing things, a little bit like Marcelinho, a little bit exactly. The interesting thing is, he's always surprising me what he did. Sometimes said, okay, not the third guy you have to dribble, but yeah, that's the reason you like these players.
Yeah.
That you try it.
Yeah. And my next question is, who is your least favourite player this year? We've got to have one. Mine, I think it's been Zifuk, because I feel he cost us the game against RB Leipzig when he got sent off, because I think even though the referee was in the wrong, I think the tackle was a bit unnecessary. I don't like Zifuk. I think he's been a waste of money. Who's your least favourite player?
The youngest favourite player?
Yeah, least, like the one you don't like, who's been making mistakes, sort of thing.
It's hard. Sometimes, Zifuk is a young player. In my opinion, young players can make mistakes. I know the scene from the Leipzig game, I was really upset too, because I said, you don't have to do this. Yeah. But sometimes I think what we need sometimes is Niklas Stark, because the thing is at the game against Dortmund,
that was.
And in this moment when he's playing the central defensive midfielder, so in my opinion, you have to said, okay, I have to go back to the defense and have to help more.
Yeah.
And from my opinion, he's he can do more, but he's doing in the defense. He's doing so much false last year or last season. Yeah. And in the midfield, he's got a little bit more time to do his tackles and to run through the spaces. But sometimes I think he can do a little bit more. So it's a little bit, when you see the opportunity he had. And that's the reason why I said, okay, I hope so that we will have a guy like Hussar.
Yeah. No, that's because Saturday was a bad day for me because Hibs, we were 2-0 up against Celtic and ended up throwing it away and it was 2-2. And then I was like, okay, right, that's fine. We got a draw against Celtic. I'm a bit disappointed. Turn on the Hertha game and oh dear God, it wasn't a good day for me on Saturday. My next question is Hertha try, the reserve team. We've had a decent start to, well, when I say decent, we had an okay start to the Regionalliga Nordost. Do you hope the reserves can ever get to the Three-Liga? You'll look at, obviously it's not because Bayern have way too much money, but Bayern reserves got to the Three-Liga, they're doing well. Do you hope that Hertha too can get to the Three-Liga someday? I would be happy for us to stay in the Regionalliga Nordost.
So to Hertha, are beating the thing is, I don't find it's not for me the best opinion that the Profi League teams have a second team in the third league.
Yeah,
that's the one, because we've got other teams, teams like Magdeburg, so for the Pro League teams, for the Bundesliga teams, it's easy to have a really expensive third league team on the way. They can pay it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and the other thing is our second team. I like the second team very much because it's really good. It's a mixture between 2 or 3 people who are a little bit older, and the rest are really the young guys from the U19, and they learn much in the fourth league. But sometimes you see not enough.
Yeah.
So when you see the guys when they're playing in the fourth league and then they're coming to Bundesliga, So sometimes they said, maybe you need another year in the second league from another team,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
that's it. And so 2 Hearts are my buddy. For me, really, I like to go there to look to our U23. It's a little bit like a Hertha family meeting Sunday.
Could imagine that, yeah. But no, I love it because I watch Sport in Austin a lot on MDR because I can get it on the computer. And I love watching the U23 play teams like Lokomotiv Leipzig and BFC and big old East German teams that Hertha wouldn't play normally. It's because these are fantastic games and these clubs have fantastic fans, and it's teams we would never play in any other setting. Playing teams like Chemnitz and Lokomotiv Leipzig and Chemie Leipzig and BFC Dynamo. These are teams, European finals and everything back in the past. So it's fantastic. And Carl Zeiss Jena is another one. And then you got other Berlin teams. I suppose you've got a little bit of a derby against TB and everything like that. So it's a brilliant league to be playing in, and it gets the young lads some good experience. I know in Gangkam has been a pleasure to watch in that league.
Yeah. The thing is, I like this league because it's really like a kind of all the great teams from the old GDR, and then teams like TB, it's really like I like a really regional league. You've got in the past.
Yeah.
And on a way, and there are so much teams, with a really big history, Chemie Leipzig, by the way, so this is the interesting thing, from this league, and I like to look at really, and I like to go there every Sunday when they play it Sunday, and we can go there because it's really one of the nicest places.
Oh yeah, and of course we have Energopolis, and that league as well, the big one. Well, it's not a big, but it's a big. I know we just got to hope that someday Hansa Rostock get relegated and we can beat them as well.
This would be a hard derby there, but the interesting thing is you see in this league really old derbies from with a lot of history, and for me it's really I was so sad because I want to see these derby GB Hertha, and because it's really the old West Berlin derby,
Of course.
No way.
And you've got so many old Eastern derbies as well, like Locke against Chemie, for example. I've watched a few Leipzig derbies, and it doesn't get ready for it. The last Leipzig derby I watched was in the Oberliga, the 5th division, and I was amazed. There was about 10,000 fans there, which is more than the average Scottish Premiership game, and everybody had flares, and there was a lot of noise being made, and I think Lokomotiv won, if I remember correctly, and it was amazing to see. But you get so many good derbies, and of course the Brandenburg derby between Babelsberg and Energie as well is another amazing one. Of course, we want Babelsberg to win that because we don't like Energie Cottbus. We always go, every time Babelsberg play in the Brandenburg derby, I'll go, come on, Babelsberg.
Yeah, it's a nice derby. Yeah, it's a nice derby, and but the interesting thing is when you go there and seeing all the younger Hertha players, there are so much interesting players. Sometimes we're expecting the Jesse Nankam.
Honestly, I think he will go places in the Bundesliga. Definitely, if he gets more experience, maybe loan him out to somebody like. Trying to think, somebody like Aue or something like that, who are sort of a solid team in the Bundesliga too, then bring him back in. But I see big things for the lad, and I'm sad. One player that we've got to bring up is Samardzic. I'm really sad. I'm annoyed at him for going to RB Leipzig, but I'm really sad that he didn't stay. I think if he'd stayed, he might have got his chance.
I don't understand it, because but I know that his family said they want to have much more money, stuff like this, Yeah, I'm really sad about Samardzic because he was a really great player too. He's a classical Berlin player, he's born on, really hard stuff, and he's playing really when you're playing in a cage, he's Samardzic is a typical cage player.
Yeah.
When you're playing as a kid in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
My next question is, how disappointed were you when the cup dreams were dashed again by Eintracht Braunschweig? I watched the game. It was embarrassing, to say the least.
It's embarrassing but typical. So a friend of mine after this game said to me, Pokal, I don't know this word. Can you explain it to me? So I don't understand what's happened there, because it was so, in a way it was so typical, in a way it wasn't understandable, because the team was so bad. When you see the team, when you see the names from the team, normally they have to beat Braunschweig, and normally they have to stand there in the defense and don't let.
Because what Braunschweig spend on the whole team, we probably end up spending on a couple of players, So there's a big difference in level. But I understand, being a Hibs fan and a Hertha fan, we had to wait 114 years to win the Scottish Cup. We won it in 1902, and then we kept going to more and more finals and losing. And then eventually in 2016, we beat Rangers in the final, and it was amazing. So I understand the pain that we had to wait 114 years for a Scottish Cup. So let's hope that doesn't happen to Hertha. But
the thing is, you can always, in the moment, for me, it's always a sarcastic moment, when I play in Pokal, the last nice moment was the I think it was 4 years ago in the half final. Yeah. And that wasn't so bad, but the defense player slipped out on the on the wet ground. So what can you do?
I know. My favourite game I've ever seen in the Pokal for us was definitely that game last season against Dresden. That was fantastic because it was a really exciting game. Although I was hiding behind the couch most of the time because Dresden kept going, taking the lead, and then. But the Dresden fans were amazing, and I wish I could only been there live to see it. But the Dresden fans were amazing, and that's what makes games like that. They brought 30,000 up and made atmosphere, and the score was a thriller of a game.
Yeah, this was a really great game. This game was so everything you wanna have from a football game. After the game, I stand there, direction S-Bahn, and then I look at all the people. And normally, the people are, they're talking about the game, blah blah blah. And after this game, all the people are really was so silent. They go to the S-Bahn. Every guy was silent. Dresden Hertha, it was really so amazing in the stadium. You go out. Okay.
I know. I had to breathe.
Let's cool down.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of people were talking about, and a lot of people I knew that were at the game were too busy watching the Dresden fans to be watching the game. That because I can't get over it that Dresden, how many they brought, and that display, the yellow madness, that was so impressive. That was honestly, and they made so much noise as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you have a really good fan scene there, it could be really nice there in the stadium, when you're not alone. But the thing is, in the Olympic Stadium, you've got always these one problem, you've got the Ostkurve.
Yeah.
And we crying against the wind, and the wind in that moment was Dresden on the other side, because we've got these marathon tour and it's open, so you've got always a little bit wind against us.
Yeah.
And this is really, that's the reason why we want to have a new stadium.
Well, I suppose you look at us, if we get a new stadium, maybe about 40,000 capacity, you'd sell it out, because I think the problem in the Olympia Stadium, which you touched on there, is it's far too big. We do get really good crowds. I know that, 40,000, which is amazing. But in an 80,000 capacity stadium, it doesn't mean anything, because even with 40,000 people in there, it still looks empty. Now, the last game I made it over to was against Hanover, last 2 years ago, actually, 0-0. And because it's obviously not the most exciting of games, because Hanover were already relegated, we maybe had about 20,000 people there, and honestly, the stadium looked so empty.
That's the reason, Aktion Herthakneipe is coming new stadium. All the people who are working for Aktion Herthakneipe, before we met and have an initiative here for the politics and Hertha, and to bring them together to talk about a new stadium. Yeah. And the thing is, normally in a normal football stadium, you've got really, when you build it for 50,000 and you've got 40,000 inside there, it's full, it's loud, it's crowdy. And that's the thing, the Olympic Stadium isn't a football stadium. No. It's always nice sometimes when it's really full. These Olympic Stadium have got two different things. It's really incredible when it's empty, and it's incredible when it's full.
Yeah.
but nothing in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. But
that's a problem.
I think a lot of teams have learnt from that in Germany. Dresden, they've built the Rudolf Harburg Stadium, they fill because it's at a size that they can fill, because they used to play, obviously, a lot of these East German teams, because communists love to build big stadiums. And a lot of these East German teams soon learnt, because Lok soon had to move out the Zentralstadion, because obviously the Bruno Placa is more an acceptable size for them. And we need to do the same. And that's one of my questions I was going to ask you is, where do you want the new stadium to be built? My personal choice would be the Maifeld, because it would be good to have it there. I know we can't, because the Senate have been funny about that, but it would have been great to have it, and you have the old and the new. You have the new stadium in the shadow of the Olympia Stadium in the Maifeld. That would be fantastic. But I know Kaisersfelder got talked about in some areas out towards Tegel and Reichendorf.
The thing is, in Tegel, they want to build normal houses, they want to build a university. And in Tegel, you don't have an S-Bahn, you don't have a U-Bahn, you have got only buses. So when you go to the Olympic, you know, it's not only the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
The whole area, the whole Olympic area, it's really huge, by the way. Yeah, it's a huge area. And on the Maifeld, yeah, it would be great because, you know, we've got the S-Bahn, you've got the U-Bahn, and you've got buses. So you've got the whole infrastructure.
Absolutely.
That's it. And, you know, these big stadium, you know, you can do concerts there, you know, you can do festivals there. And yeah, the thing is, the Maifeld maybe on the left side, when you're looking outside from the Ostkurve on the left side, there's a space because yeah, that's what my favorite place in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Then obviously the Olympia Park and the Olympia Stadium has been our traditional home for years and years and years. And like you said, it's easy to get to. When I've went to games, you know, I always stay in Spittelmarkt in Mitte. So Spittelmarkt's got the U-Bahn station right outside my hotel, basically. You go into the U-Bahn and then you can ride the U-Bahn straight to the stadium because it's on the U2. So it is more convenient, and if you want to meet up with your friends, you can switch to Zoologischer Garten and everything like that. So that is, you know, something that needs to be looked into, obviously. Now, we've been on for a while, so we'll ask you my last question. This is perhaps the most important one. How do you feel we'll get on this season? Where do you think we'll finish in the league? I'm thinking our usual 10th or 11th, in my opinion. I don't think we'll go down. There's no danger of that happening. And I think Bruno Labbadia will probably stay and probably leave at the end of the season, but I don't see him being sacked. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree with you on a way. Could be a place in the middle, and we don't go down.
Yeah.
Bruno got time to build the whole team. You know, the thing is, you know, our team, when you look at the team at the last season, you know, you've got people like Ibisevic, you've got people, you know, you begin with Salomon Kalou, you know, people are really, they're here since years. And yeah, the problem is you have to build a new team. You know, Schellbrett was one of the really important players here last season, because, you know, he was not the important player maybe sometimes on the pitch, but you know, for the whole team he was important.
I missed him. He's doing well. I watch the Norwegian league sometimes, and he's been doing well with Rosenborg. Schellbrett, I think letting him go was a mistake, but by that point the decision had been made. When he started to play well after the lockdown and after the Bundesliga restarted, the decision had been made about him leaving, which I think was a shame. But you got some players that I'm glad have left, like Selke. I was never a fan of him. You know, Kalou was far too old to, you know, be on a pitch. And the last I saw of Kalou, he was really struggling out on the pitch. It was against Hanover. And against a team like that, he was in his prime. He would have ripped a team like that apart. But he was out on that pitch, and you could tell his age was showing that he was really struggling. You know? But we have players like that at Hibs. Darren McGregor's one of them. That I think he's 35 now. He really shouldn't be on a football pitch. Kalou was the same.
That's the thing. You know, I'm a big fan from Kalou, but for my opinion, it would be good if he's coming to Hertha after his career and doing something here in the club, for my opinion. But you know, sometimes Kalou want to go to his girlfriend to Brazil, so he want to go.
Yeah.
And, the same with Schellbrett. He said, "Oh, I'm old enough. My children want to go to school, and they should go to school in Norway." I can understand that, you know. Yeah. So our whole team was really new, and so yeah, you have to find a new structure for the team.
Absolutely.
So let's see. I agree with you. It could be 10, could be better, could be 8, 9.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we don't go down, and I think in the best thing for the season, when we see really good football in the second part of the league, when we see good football, sometimes when they are really playing nice football, then they can sometimes lose against good clubs. But yeah, that's the thing. When they're playing really good football, it's nice to look at. You're not in anger about they don't playing so bored or stuff like this. In the last year, sometimes you see it's that you think the player are bored sometimes. Sometimes I think this. Are you bored? You're playing really so slowly and this was not good for us on a way. Sometimes you need a little bit better football to not to win, but to said okay, we try to do it a little bit more exciting.
No, that's it. But with Hertha, we're used to it. I think the good thing is the last couple of seasons we've had consistency where we've finished in about the same position every year, which is good. And it's all about rebuilding the squad, and you never know. Next season, 2 or 3 seasons down the line, we could get Europa League, and that's the aim. But absolutely. So I'm going to do my outro now, guys. Thank you so much to Klaus for joining me. It's been wonderful to chat about Herthakneipe and Hertha in general, because being a Scottish Hertha fan can be lonely sometimes. So it's great to have a chat with a Hertha fan. I'm going to put some links down below for Aktion Herthakneipe. If you guys want to check it out, please do, because it's not just about Hertha, it's about football fans in general. We're all going through the same right now. So please check it out, guys. Again, thank you so much to Klaus. Thank you to the Hertha community for accepting me in and help you get me joined in. So that's it, guys. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe, and please share it out, because we need to get these guys more publicity over here in Scotland. So do that, guys. I will see you all very soon. Jack out.